Hurricane Ida is leaving Cuba on track to be an extremely dangerous landfall in the state of Louisiana by Sunday night. Good evening, I'm Mike Nasa with this 11 p.m. Friday night update on the tropics. There you can see our hurricane. It strengthened quickly earlier on Friday into a Category 1 storm, leaving Cuba. It went over the Isle of Youth in western Cuba as a hurricane of about 80 miles an hour, and now it is in the Gulf of Mexico, forecast to strengthen very quickly and rapidly and become a Category 4 hurricane prior to making landfall along the south-central coastline or southeast coastline of Louisiana. This is a very, very dangerous storm in the making. Here's the latest on Hurricane Ida as of 11 p.m. Eastern Time from the National Hurricane Center. The eye of the hurricane was at 23.0 north, 84.0 west, winds of 80 miles per hour, moving northwest at 15, and that high pressure should build a little bit more west, pushing it northwest through the Gulf, and then it'll eventually round the ridge and slam into Louisiana. The pressure has been around the vicinity of 989 millibars roughly. It is forecast to strengthen at a very quick rate, and by this time tomorrow should be a major hurricane, at least a Category 3. Now, we do have some hurricane warnings I want to go through. Obviously, Cuba, Pinar del Rio, and the Isle of Youth, you guys are still under a hurricane warning as the hurricane leaves Cuba, but we have a hurricane warning now from Intracoastal City, Louisiana to the mouth of the Pearl River, including Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Maurepas, and Metropolitan New Orleans. Okay? We also have a hurricane watch further west from Cameron, Louisiana to west of Intracoastal City, and then from the mouth of the Pearl River to the Mississippi-Alabama border there. So the entire North Gulf Coast under hurricane watches and warnings, and a tropical storm warning for areas there in western and central Cuba, as well as from Cameron, Louisiana to west of Intracoastal City and the mouth of the Pearl River to the Alabama border and Mississippi. We also have a tropical storm watch all the way to the Alabama-Florida border because as Ida moves through the Gulf, it's expected to get larger in size. Remember, when it comes to the strength of a storm, size doesn't matter. The strongest hurricane to ever hit America in 1935 hit the Florida Keys, and that was a very tiny hurricane. In fact, that's one of the reasons it was so strong. The pressure got so low in such a tiny storm that the winds were violent, 200 miles an hour gusting. They had sparks from the sand hitting rocks. But this shouldn't be 200 miles an hour, but it should be 140, which is a very disastrous hurricane. And again, all systems seem go for some very serious intensification. Here's the latest satellite imagery, the water vapor. You can see there's the eye of the hurricane over the Gulf. This upper level low here, flowing like that, is getting out of the way. And so Ida's outflow is now going to be able to expand and flourish there on the western side. And look at this outflow jet here on the right side of the hurricane. It's the ventilation, up and out, very favorable. And so that ventilation pattern, along with the boiling hot Gulf waters, should allow for continued deepening all the way up towards the coastline of Louisiana, and that's just bad news all around. Here's the prehistoric-looking Cuban radar, and you can see the eye of Ida to the north of the western tip of Cuba. Clearly a tight storm organized, and it held together. As I said at the update 12 hours ago, western Cuba is very flat, and so storms kind of cross it in a hurry, and normally if they're strengthening, they don't stop, or they sputter just a little bit and then come on back like we're expecting Ida to do. The wind shear, you're looking at this going, well, Mike, it's going into wind shear. What's going on? No. This is the outflow from the hurricane. You see, this is that jet of outflow up and around. And so Ida actually has very favorable wind shear, and it only gets more favorable here in the Gulf. These blues and blacks are low areas of wind shear. And look at these water temperatures, this tongue of water, this loop current as they call it, right in the middle, and look at, they just get hotter and hotter towards the Louisiana coastline. Look at down here where Hurricane Grace was a few days ago. It cooled the waters. You see that? I mean, there's still very hot water, 80 degrees, but you can see the anomalies here are cooler where Grace moved. Of course, Ida's nowhere near there. Ida's going to have this strip of hot water all the way to the coastline. Here's the computer model guidance. They seem fixated. The UK Met coming in much further west, but most of them seem to think the south central Louisiana coastline, well to the east of where Hurricane Laura hit last year. Laura hit Cameron, Louisiana over here. This is expected to hit more near, say, Grand Isle, Houma, areas there near Morgan City, and that's a much, much worse scenario on the right-hand side for the city of New Orleans. Remember, during Katrina came in to the east of New Orleans, and they were on the west side of the hurricane, the weaker side. In this storm, if it comes in west of New Orleans, they might be on the stronger side, which could be very bad news. Here's the European ensembles. You could see they just devastate southeastern Louisiana with a monster storm. Here's the GFS as of 18Z, and look at what it does. Look at this donut, this monster hurricane. In 48 hours from now, 11 p.m. Sunday, a northern eye wall of that monster coming on shore. And look at that, it just slams right in, moves right up. Insane. And then this is the H-Wharf model. Look at it, gets the pressure down, 936 millibars. Look at that. I'm telling you, if this is what we are looking at on Sunday, this is a horrendous hurricane in the making. Coming right ashore there on the Louisiana coastline. Overnight Sunday, 933 millibars. Laura was 938. The lower the pressure, the stronger the storm. This model is showing a hurricane as strong or even stronger than Laura, and much, much further east, and much, much worse for southeastern Louisiana. If you guys are in southeastern Louisiana, you need to be ready for a devastating storm. What are we talking about? A Category 4, 140 miles an hour? That is devastating to catastrophic damage. Devastating to catastrophic damage with a Category 4 hurricane. What should it look like? Something like that. On the left side of your screen, that's what you deal with a Category 4. And then the satellite presentation should look something like this, with a big fat donut hole in the middle, and winds of 130 to 156, catastrophic damage. Right now they're predicting 140 at landfall, and hopefully it doesn't get any stronger than that, but Laura was 150 just a year ago this week. Here's the wind field. You could see it is getting bigger, slowly but surely it's getting bigger in size. And again, that was a big deal with Hurricane Katrina. It wasn't just that Katrina had been a 5 offshore. Remember, Katrina fell apart as it was coming ashore. It was a Category 5, then a 4, it came ashore as a 3. This is expected to be a 4. So technically, the winds are expected to be stronger at landfall than Hurricane Katrina was. Now, what made Katrina so devastating was it built up that surge, and it was very large size and wind field. So we're going to watch this wind field of Ida to see just how big it might get. Here's the National Hurricane Center track, and you can see they do have it. Again, it could be anywhere within this cone. There are errors at 48 hours, but look at Houma, Morgan City, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, New Orleans. You guys are all going to be squarely in the path, but if the eye wall moves over areas like Houma, Morgan City, you guys could really, really be devastated. Grand Isle down here, and that's to say nothing of the storm surge. The storm surge is going to be tremendous, 10 to 15 feet as of now. That might go up from Morgan City to the mouth of the Mississippi, 6 to 9 feet over here in Vermilion Bay and Intracoastal City, even back towards Mobile Bay, 2 to 4 feet. But again, 10 to 15 feet here, 7 to 11, 4 to 7 on Lake Pontchartrain. Those levees better hold. Okay? Just hope the levees hold. Now, here's the water inundation, and you can see where you have oranges, that's greater than 6 feet, where you have the reds, that's greater than 9 feet. Some of these areas, Morgan City and Houma, you forget that these are so low-lying, marshy, hot, swampy areas that the storm surge could be tremendous. And then, of course, where you have the striped color here, this is where you have levees to try and protect the city. So that's going to do it for this update on Hurricane Ida. We'll be back with frequent coverage on this YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, share the link as this dangerous hurricane moves into the Gulf of Mexico with a Category 4 landfall likely on the North Gulf Coast.